Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm about to show you, I need you to share and leave a comment in the field below, because I'm about to show you how Tulsi Gabbard just put out another video about how 2A she is in an interview back and forth. But she just said she's willing to look at getting rid of the NFA. Something has my feelers up. And I just want to walk you through it real quick. Everything will be linked into the description box below. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And again, please let me hear from you in the comments on this one, because I need some backup on this, because it just... let me know if I land the plane. And of course, I got to let you know about the giveaway for the truck from Vanish Holsters. I'm going to put a link right down there in the description box. Check it out, and then we are going to hit. I've got to tell you about the biggest giveaway I've ever done on this channel. Vanish Holsters is giving away an $80,000 custom Rocky Ridge Silverado for free to one lucky American who buys one of their holsters or t-shirts through June 3rd. Now, this is not your everyday range holster. This is the holster that eliminates the excuse not to carry every day because of comfort. In fact, there's a money-back guarantee based around that comfort level. It fits 99% of semi-automatic handguns on the market, can hold 2 magazines, and is completely versatile in where you actually strap this bad boy up. It has a no-stink material, it's completely adjustable, and it fits up to 48 to 68-inch waist. And in order to have this opportunity to get the truck, all you have to do is enter to win in the link below for $50 off your order as well, and you get a chance for this truck. So check it out right down there in the description box. All right, beautiful people. Here's what I want to say about Tulsi Gabbard really quickly before we get into the clips themselves. I want the Second Amendment for every individual, whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. I'm not here to be the arbiter of who deserves the blessing of the Second Amendment. If you are an American citizen, you have the blessing of the Second Amendment. I'm also not going to be the one that speaks from a high horse and says, you are not allowed in the club, because that's not beneficial to our end goals. Like, spreading the Second Amendment and fighting back the gun controllers is not going to help if we have a closed rank policy. We have to be able to adopt people into it to get new blood in order to further the Second Amendment. Now, that does not mean we just open our gates like the southern border. There's a fine line and distinction. But what I'm about to show you is it's an interview, some clips from an interview that Tulsi Gabbard just did that I find fascinating, okay? Again, I'm not Team Tulsi, I'm not Team Anti-Tulsi, I'm Team Second Amendment. And what she's about to say, check this out. This is the first one. That's why I put it here. It's the most important.
Let's take this to a practical level. You're in office somewhere with a voting power to do so. How would you react to, let's say, the ATF or the NFA, the National Firearms Act, that restricts all sorts of gun ownership, and the fact that the ATF has created a 2 billion entry-long gun registry, which is against federal law, things like that? How would you handle those things specifically?
I think those are two of the many examples where government abuse of power and government overreach has become rampant. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on all of these issues, but I think it calls into question whether or not those two should exist.
Whether or not those two should exist. Again, for framing, she was talking about the ATF and their illegal registry, which should not exist. That's a violation of federal law, and the NFA, the National Firearms Act. Now, if you're not familiar, the NFA at a very high level, it's a taxing scheme which says you can only have SBRs, suppressors, and full autos inside that tax stamp plan. Okay, that's a very, very high level, okay? Now, what's interesting to me about this, and this is where my feelers kind of go up a little bit, and this is where I need the backup in the comments to get your thoughts. I would expect someone who has previously voted for gun control and co-sponsored gun control bills and been on the Democratic aisle aligned with gun control to some degree around common sense to adjust into the middle if they were trying to rebrand themselves as pro-2A, or all of a sudden they made a mistake and they're going pro-2A. That's fine. Okay, cool. People can make mistakes. I get it. Let's have a conversation. But when it goes beyond, hey, I was wrong on common sense gun reform, all the way to abolishing the NFA, that's a pendulum swing from the far left, which would be like gun control, common sense gun reform, assault weapons bans, all the way to the other side to full autos, suppressors, SBRs. You would not normally expect someone to go from all the way over here to all the way over here in a very short time frame. Again, I'm not saying she's lying, and I'm not saying she is or isn't a bad person. What I'm saying is, it reminds me of someone that you've known in your life that feels like they need to compensate in an area because they're either teased or they have a reputation for something. Like a guy in the gym. Oh, you're weak. Okay, well, now they're going to be in the gym 9 days a week, and they're going to be bench pressing more than they can, and they're going to tear muscle groups to prove that perception wrong. That's a good example. Or you're not very fast, you're slow, and they spend all the time on the track, or something else. Or you're very stupid, and then they study all the time. Whatever it is, there's overcompensation, right? My gut reaction on this is, why are you going so hard? Why are you leaning so incredibly hard into that? Why are we not, I don't know. Could be completely just me, could be just my feelers, but let's continue. I got 3 more clips for you. She walks through the gun control side, and then the growing tyranny in the United States and the need for the Second Amendment, which kind of dovetails. But again, check this out. Here's the second one. I think this is a very important conversation to have around Tulsi.
And so in concept, I had always supported the Second Amendment. But when talking with different folks, I did not fully understand when people are saying, oh, these are common sense gun safety laws. And, well, maybe this, if you do this thing, it will help to prevent the next mass shooting in a school. And I think there are a lot of Americans who felt as I did, well, you know, if there's a way to strike that right balance where you're able to maintain people's rights to defend themselves and also try to prevent a mass killing, then shouldn't we try to do that? The argument that was made...
We're getting to the argument, it's the pro-gun argument coming in a second. But if we can strike the balance between infringing upon your rights and safety, can't we achieve that? Because the gun control lie is safety but still represent your rights. I mean, that's the whole lie. But she pretty much puts that in a nice nutshell. Now, she walked away from that. Again, how are we getting to the NFA territory, right? I'm going to do something in a second here that's really going to tie this together. Let me show you what she says about the purpose of the Second Amendment and refuting tyranny and what the Second Amendment was there for, and then it kind of adds a little context around her NFA comments. Check this out, and then we're going to say the last clip here in a second.
The argument that was made that I had heard people make about our founders intending the Second Amendment not only to be a right to defend yourself and your loved ones for recreational purposes or whatever, but to serve as a check on the power of a tyrannical government. In my mind, it was like, okay, that I can't imagine that scenario in my life, and it didn't seem real. And that's where over the last several years, in my experience at least, we have seen such a transformation where that has become a very real situation where the abuse of power is becoming so brazen.
So there you go. Like you just heard her say exactly the way that she got to where she is. Well, I never imagined that it was even possible, even though if you look through the 20th century of history in the world, it happens every single time the exact same way. I struggle with I couldn't see how it could happen here when we literally have hundreds of years of documented history. But getting past that, it became real to her, so much so that the Second Amendment is now going to be used to refute tyranny from our own government because the abuse of power was so stark. Now, this is an interesting piece because if that's truly her motivation, and she says, wow, it can actually happen here, and all of a sudden she's a 2A absolutist, that's one heck of a transition. Again, not doubting it, not fighting it. What I'm saying is that's unusual. That's really what I'm trying to draw attention to. And now she is stating the the perspective of a lot of gun controlling or gun safety minded Democrats or independents who say, well, if we can strike that balance of infringing but safety, but then she sees the growing government overreach, and now all of a sudden it's no, back off the Second Amendment because we're going to have to pop you. Like that's quite the contrast, right? But now let me show you this next one because she openly addresses the skepticism. And I honestly think that this is a really big part of this. Going back to the compensation argument or a piece that I brought up, she seems to be overcompensating for what is clearly a weak spot in her rebranding approach, because the Second Amendment community is very hesitant and has a healthy dose of skepticism around her trying to meld into the fold. Again, I'm not completely anti-Tulsi and I'm not pro-Tulsi. I'm just trying to add commentary on what I see on this, because I think it's an important part. But listen, she even addresses the skepticism. Check this out. This guy asked a great question.
Not how that's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really difficult for me to buy because it's now very politically expedient for people to jump on board with a lot of this conservative stuff that people have fought for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. No, I think your and others' skepticism is warranted. It's warranted. I think also, if we are to hope to bring about change to our government, to our laws that are currently infringing on our freedoms, there has to be room for people like me to change, to actually learn. If we are, and it's not only this issue, but there are many others. If we close ourselves off to saying, well, in my case, well, this was a bill that you co-sponsored. This was a vote that you took. I will tell you, no, I would not do that today. I'm not in a position of elected office, so I can't show you that. And I don't expect you to just be like, okay, cool, got it. I get it. Trust is earned. Absolutely.
The big thing that I wanted to wrap this video with, in this point, she is completely correct, at least in my opinion. You guys can let me know in the comments. We need to be open enough to have people jump into the 2A and support the 2A and be part of the 2A family, because if we only close ourselves off because we're so concerned that we might let in a traitor, then we're going to drown ourselves off through our own self-imposed siege. However, that doesn't mean open the gates again like the southern border of the United States, like straight up Biden style. You have to approach it and have a conversation with anybody like this right here. This is a valuable conversation. But you can't go in blind and you can't go in closed off either. And I think this piece is an important piece, because as we bring more and more people into the fold of the Second Amendment, which we are doing every single day through purchasing, through range visits, through all the things that we're doing, we have the ability to get more and more people from their side to join our side. But we still have to be careful when we do it. And I have a very weird feeling about the jumping all the way from common sense gun reform into repeal the NFA, abolish the ATF, abolish the ATF registry, which I'm totally down with. I'm just saying from her perspective. It's a very big jump, and I wonder the origins of that jump, because that's a very rare thing. But anyway, those are the things that I just noticed off the bat. But what do you guys think? Let me know if I landed that plane. Let me know what you're thinking, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.